What's up, everyone? We're trying out a new little kind of social media thing or put some more information out there for you guys. Logan and I are jumping on a Zoom call here, and we're going to watch one of Logan's workout videos. It's a great video of him snatching for 5 minutes straight. So if you guys love snatches, this video is for you. But we're just going to kind of commentate it, run through some thoughts, some things like we can take away from a coaching perspective and athlete perspective. And then just kind of like put out some more information for you guys to kind of see how we kind of like break down workouts and break down videos, movement patterns, stuff like that. Yeah, Logan, do you have anything beforehand or?
No, I'm excited to kind of give you all a little bit of insight and kind of how, like, what kind of goes through, a higher level athlete's mind when they're going through a workout, and then kind of from the coaching perspective as well, both me and Kyle's coaching perspective, and just really analyzing the video, and kind of gives you some insight on how much you can actually improve within a workout and how much actual thought can go into it, just so you can also be more reflective on your own workouts.
Yeah, for sure. So the workout was 5-minute AMRAP, squat snatches at 165 pounds for guys, 110 for women. It was the challenge workout from, I don't know when this is going to be posted, so maybe from a couple weeks ago. I don't think we had any girls do it. You got 30, how many reps was it? 32?
32.
Okay, so 32 reps. What was your initial strategy going into this one?
So my initial strategy was I really wanted to get 40. And I think I got like 8 reps in the first minute doing singles. So obviously, like after that first minute, I was like, I don't think I'm going to get 40. And
for those of you that can't do math, like myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So
divided by 40 is 8. So the goal was 8 reps a minute, essentially.
Yeah. That was the goal going into it. And I wasn't feeling it. It was a little bit different of a stimulus than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really think that my legs were going to blow up like they did. Yeah. Not really blow up, but become the limiting factor. Yeah. I didn't really think, like, my breathing was pretty good. My shoulders were pretty good, but it ended up just being pretty much all legs. And
we can chat about that a little bit more when the video starts.
Yeah, for sure.
If you want. Sorry. I was just curious about your like initial strategy there. But
yeah, and we had a girl, she's not a blacklisted athlete, but we did have a female hit 36 on this.
Oh, really? Who was that?
Yeah, sanctional athlete, Haley Hunter, I think her name is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, she was the one that commented on the post?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sweet. Yeah.
Yep.
Did she say well, I guess we'll talk about that in the aftermath.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Logan and I are watching this on different screens. So there's a little and go here that's going to sync us up. So you ready, Logan?
Yeah.
All right. And go. Ooh, I got to mute this. Yeah, you moved pretty well for the first minute or so here. And just like some background, we definitely have not been doing a ton of barbell cycling with Logan right now.
Yeah.
We've been doing some leg strength stuff, but that's a little bit different when you're going from pull off the ground and then squat, especially if you have an athlete who's really good at using their legs off the ground like Logan is, for pulling a barbell. Like Logan was talking about, that limitation is definitely going to be a little bit more leg oriented. So that's just something he probably hasn't experienced in a little bit here. So some like good info there. But yeah, kind of interesting. So like after the first minute, you knew it was like no go on the 40?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like I hit a wall by any means, but like I saw that I was only at I hit 8 reps and it was like 58 seconds. So it's like, this pace is probably going to be pretty hard
Yeah.
to be able to hold. Now, I think looking back on this,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if it's me or if it's just the workout, like what's best. I think if I were to do this again, I would start out with a bigger touch and go set and get a little
Okay.
bit further ahead. I think for me, like I've chatted to you about this a little bit, like I can breathe really well on touch and go snatches.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes just bending down that much over and over again doesn't really make me, like, it just kind of gets my heart rate up a little bit and
Yeah.
kind of not blows up my lower back, but it definitely will get it there. So I think just being able to use that, stretch reflex coming off the ground for just a little bit, makes a big difference. So
Would
I don't
get you like
know.
2 or 3 reps ahead almost.
Yeah, I think I would probably maybe do like a touch and go set of 7 maybe
Yeah.
to start off. And then, I mean, even if I took, a 15-second break, I think I would still be able to get 3 or 4 more and be at like 10,
Right.
10 or 11 to start off, and then
Like
be able
maintain
to,
from there. Because you were
yeah,
hitting.
maintain from there.
So spoiler alert, I guess. Logan goes 8, 6, 6, 5, and then I counted 7 on the last one. Might have
I
done
guess I did.
7.
Maybe I did get 33. I didn't double check it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and like looking at, I guess, what minute are we in right now? Yeah, minute 3. Like this is kind of where, actually at the start of minute 2 is where we start to see some fatigue set in. You start to see like the heart rate increase inside the video, and then even now, like you're starting to see like a little bit more fatigue setting in, and a little bit longer break between reps. But even if you opened up with a touch and go set, I think this is pretty maintainable for you. Like your repeatability, or I guess like you call it battery between reps, is pretty doable or repeatable inside of this
definitely
pace. So, and like you would definitely get a little bit less. Like I've seen like you touch and go, like you're definitely getting a little bit more passive tension on your low back versus like here you're bending down, and now you're inside of that position for 2 to 3 seconds grabbing the bar, which is already putting you back in a flex position again. So it's just going to be a little bit less time under tension for that low back and
definitely.
legs in general. So like that makes sense inside of the squat snatches for like touch and go reps.
Yeah, definitely. And I think looking back on this, it's something that like I always tell my athletes to be aware of, but like I definitely need to do a better job on this, is spending less time in my setup. And then just standing right over the bar, and like obviously like with a 165 snatch, it's going to be a little bit harder than say a 135 snatch, because you're just lifting a little bit more weight. So you need maybe a little bit more time in your setup. But I think I could do a better job of just literally just bending down, taking a second, and then ripping it back up. And then I think on some of them, I do it right, but like I could do a better job at grabbing the bar with both hands every single time.
I was going to say, I think part of that, I'm just going to restart the video here so I guess people aren't bored as fuck watching just us talking. But I think one thing you can notice is like you roll the bar into you. And like that forces you to like look and go hand and grab. Where like if you set up and if you set up based off of where your feet are in relation to the bar, like let the bar set and then set up based off of where your feet are. That way you have the muscle memory and you know what you're doing with your hands as you bend over. So like you can just set your hands in your snatch grip position and then bend over from there if your feet are set on the bar. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think sometimes you have to play with the kind of like what you feel is kind of limiting you more, because whenever whenever you set up with a bar a little bit further away from you, you don't have to, you can hinge a little bit more when you're rolling the bar towards yourself, and then you set up and then you go. But
Yeah.
if say every single rep, the bar was at your shins and you're just bending down and grabbing
Yeah.
with both hands, you're going to use a little bit more quad because you're just literally just having to sit down. So it's, one of those things, like if your lower back's blowing up, bending down, with the bar closer is going to be a way better idea because you're not having to bend down and pick it up. And actually, I remember on, what was it? The Granite Games clean workout from last year, there was like, I think 63 cleans. And a lot of times whenever people will say that like their back blows up on like a lot of like high rep volume, like especially singles, it's because they're spending so much time with hunched over, picking up the bar and loading weights. Loading weights actually, like for me, like wrecks my lower back.
Okay.
Just because you're bending over so much. And it's, for me, it's not really a recovery position at all.
Yeah.
Just because you're bending over. And I remember I had one of my buddies that I have trained with, he said his lower back blew up. And I told him to try that, like try, spending a very little amount of time in your earlier barbells when you're doing a lot of weight. And I, sent him the video of me doing it, and he said his lower back felt, tremendously better.
Yeah.
So I think in especially more of a workout like that, where you're doing so many,
Right.
you can kind of get a little bit more away with it in something like this, because it's just shorter.
Yeah.
But like just being super mindful of like what you're doing in between your reps is going to pay huge dividends, because like your rep only takes like, a snatch takes what, like a second, to do. So like what you're doing in between time is just as important, if not more.
Yep. Especially because like blood pressure is going to drive up with a barbell. So like figuring out the best position for your whatever's being fatigued, and like whatever is kind of the limitation. So like if your legs are blown up, figuring out the best position that blood can get into the legs while you're lowering your blood pressure. Or if your low back's blowing up, figuring out what position is best to be in to, get blood into the low back, which is a lot easier said than done.
Right.
And, still lower kind of that blood pressure that's going on after the tension that you create to make the lift, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, yeah. And there was like a lot of it too is dependent on, what, I guess, stepping away from this workout, going back to that Granite Games workout, that had like, I think it was burpees and toes to bar in it. So your low back is constantly in flexion during that workout. Yeah. So like being cognizant of like switching up or like creating some movement variance. And this is like at a higher level. Like you have to build movement patterns at a basic level before you start creating variance inside of them. But at a higher level, if you're creating some movement variance inside of your movements with workouts that have, a predominantly hinging pattern, and then other movements that have some flexion extension in them, you're going to be able to save that low back for a hinging type pattern movement.
Right.
The other thing is like long torso people, you're just fucked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, it's like, just like how you said, going back to movement variance and like making sure that you do start off with like a good solid like base of the actual movement before you start varying it is really important. Like I remember like, especially for like rowing, if you're someone that, starts off immediately, rowing like 100% with your, not 100%, but mostly with your upper back, you're going to have a really tough time, A, sustaining that for like a long row, and B, doing anything paired with a upper body pulling exercise.
Yeah.
But like for me, like if I'm doing, if I know that there's going to be a lot of upper body pulling, then I'm going to try to, row with my lower body as much as I can. Or if I like get on the rower and there's not really a bunch of upper body pulling, I might row with my upper back because it does keep my heart rate, substantially down, and especially if my legs are blown up. So, that would probably be example of being able to use movement variance, but then also if you never learn the proper way to do it, then, you're going to kind of hold yourself back because like rowing with your upper back is for sure easier. If you have a strong upper back and you don't know how to row with it, it's awesome because it definitely.
That's like the proper way to row is like rowing's a pulling motion, not a pushing motion. You can, right. And what I mean by that is like you see the people who bring the seat to their heels really, really close and then lean back and then push with their legs. That's a pushing movement. Yep. And if you see the people who look a little bit more fluid and they're when they bring the handle into the receiving position, like the seat's a good 1.5 feet away from their heels, that's a pulling movement. You're going to generate a lot more power pulling, and your like the muscle fiber that's recruited is going to be a lot less. So it's a little bit more efficient, but it's also going to be a lot more fatiguing on your lats, which are involved in pulling movements. So you're thinking about doing like a ton of like horizontal pulling, and then you're going into, if you have a workout with like rowing and chest to bar, you're doing like, let's say you have a 500-meter row, it takes you 1 minute and 45 seconds. That's roughly like doing 50 mini ring rows right before you go and hit another like 50 chest to bar pull-ups or something like that. So it's like pre-fatiguing, where if you have the movement variance, you can switch to that push method where the seat comes into the heels and you're kind of leaning back and then pushing with your legs. You have a little bit less lactate and fatigue going on in those lats for the upper body, and you can get off and kind of smash some chest to bar pull-ups then.
Yep. Like that the one that comes to mind where it's an example of that was that there's actually another Granite Games workout where it's like an 8-minute AMRAP of like muscle ups and power snatches into another rowing workout. So like if you were only rowing with your upper body, like you were going to be tapped out.
That workout was tough.
Yeah.
That was like one of the last workouts I did competitively.
Yeah, it was like you got on the rower and you're like, "What is going on? Why can I not put any power into this?"
Yeah, I was like, for reference, I'm a pretty good rower, and I got on the rower and was rowing at like 1,000 calories per hour or something like that. It was like 12 calories or something. I was rowing at like 1,000 calories per hour. It was embarrassing. But I'm predominantly an upper body. I'm a puller when it comes to rowing. So like going from power snatches and muscle ups, where like, again, predominant upper body pulling, into a row, like your upper body is just so fatigued at that point in time.
Yep. And I would say relating that to this workout where you're snatching or barbell cycling, like if your quads are blowing up, you can start with, a way that, is easier to vary the movement is you start with your butt a little bit higher. So you're hinging more. If your hamstrings and lower back are blowing up, then you can start with a little bit of a lower, your butt a little bit lower. So you're more quad dominant. So that's what it's easy to, especially with the sport of CrossFit, especially at the elite level, like your technique inside a workout sometimes isn't the technique that you might do if you're just lifting or you're just rowing. Now, like we said, like if you're first starting off, you definitely need to build that proper technique and not automatically start off where you're varying everything with how you're feeling. You need to learn how to vary it. But with that said, like there's definitely some tweaks here and there within the movement that can pay, huge dividends. Like I think we were saying, like we had a toe to bar workout, and you beat me on this toe to bar workout, and the biggest reason why was we both did our toes to bar pretty similarly as far as like breaking them up, but you just did them a lot faster because you kind of had the more butterfly technique, where I was a little bit slower, and ended up beating me by, I can't remember by how much, but like that was a huge reason, to where you're using more core Yeah, like if you're going kind of more longer, I typically use my lats a little bit more.
Yep.
And then, when you're doing the butterfly, it's more core. But if you were to pair that up with, say, if you're doing like GHC sit-ups or let's see, like bar facing burpees, and you were doing that technique, your core would be extremely limited.
Sure would. Experienced that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you gotta like, you can't expect layers to happen. Like you have to lay, like, I guess if you're, I don't know if this analogy is gonna be good or not, but like if you're baking a cake, like you have to lay the foundation of the cake and then you can start adding the layers onto it. And like with any movement, you have to lay the foundation of the movement and then you can start adding layers on top of it. But yeah, if you like, I think a lot of people, especially at this point in time inside the sport, like a lot of people just see a bunch of like sexy stuff and they're like walk into the gym expecting to do that. And it's like, yo, we gotta, like, they didn't get to that point by, just, they didn't show up and we're there, they spent 7-8 years developing the ability to do different styles of touch and go snatches at 95-pound snatches, not hit full extension for squat snatches, or 135-pound cleans, just pull under the bar, pull it off the ground and pull under. Like they took, 5, 6, 7 years to develop that, where like they were going in their first year and like, this is how you set up for a clean and this is how you pull a clean. And then, slowly as they've developed that ability, started to figure out like, oh, like it's a lot faster for the sport if I don't reach full extension and just get under the bar and hit my 15 quick reps like this and then go and do whatever the next movement is. So it's all about like, I think people try to get ahead of themselves a little bit too much right now, just because the sport's been around for a while now. So people are starting to like see pretty elite level, and we're starting to see like how to develop athletes. And so we do a lot of like reining back to square one.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And I would say, just going back to the snatch workout, if you are someone that maybe is, if you're stronger than me, or maybe you have a better pull off the ground, or let's say if it was a lighter weight, one technique that I think is really good for snatches, and I would say you see it used more with dumbbell snatches, is basically doing like a no foot snatch, like not moving your feet at all. That just allows you to, it's quicker for sure. And then it also allows you to stay in the same place a lot better. Like you can just literally not move your feet, pick up a bar, drop it back down. And if you drop it right, you might not even have to move your feet again. So that's one technique that I myself have worked on with dumbbell snatches. I tried to do it a little bit with the 165 and the warm up, but I just didn't feel it in the pull. Maybe if it was like 135, or maybe if I was feeling a little bit better coming off the ground, I might have tried some. I definitely would have tried that technique if I were doing touch and go. I probably wouldn't have moved my feet at all, just because it is way quicker. But that's just right. And you have less likelihood, I think, for me, of like, if you don't move your feet, then you might not like catch the bar and like step to the left, step to the right, or step backwards or something like that. And then in a workout like this, like if you're catching the bar and having to step forward every time, or kind of readjust, that split second is going to add up, and you're having to hold the bar over your head a little bit longer.
We always like when we were shooting in the Marine Corps, like you always taught to keep your workspace very tight. And like, even when you were like, out on patrol or whatever, like your workspace was always supposed to be super tight. So I always try and like correlate that to CrossFit, is like, you want your workspace to be as tight as possible. And so like minimal movement, like you don't want your bar bouncing around. You don't want your bar, inside of a CrossFit workout, 600 feet across the gym, and you have to walk to your toes to bar. Like the more compact you can keep your workspace, the faster things are going to be, and in theory, the more rest you would be able to get between reps, because you're not having to use excess energy, granted it's slight, to go chase your bar around. But it is, when we're starting to get into the elite level, it's efficiency is, 1 to 2% improvements win you competitions. And so like things like that are going to start winning competitions. But again, you got to have the capacity to be there. And, if you don't have the capacity to be there, we just have to focus on, what you're capable of that time. And so maybe you do need a bar that bounces around, because it's actually going to slow you down, because you like to come out way too hot. And so that bouncing bar is actually going to keep you on a little bit better pacing pattern. So jumping back to like Logan's pacing pattern, like he's really good with squats or touch and go reps. Speaking from experience, and I have other athletes like this, is we actually need to slow them down off the bat and pace them a little bit more. So I like to look at workouts like this as like a cluster type setting. So for those of you that aren't familiar, cluster is, your reps or rep. So 1.1.1.1.1 or 3.3.3.3, whatever you see on your piece of paper. And then it's designated with rest in between. So maybe you have 3 reps, 3 power snatches, rest 30 seconds, 3 power snatches, rest 30 seconds, 3 power snatches. So you can kind of treat that similar as a workout like this, but make it more on a clock. So like 1 rep every 12 seconds, 1 rep every 10 seconds, 1 rep every 15 seconds, or something like that, where it's a sustainable pace throughout the workout. And if this were a qualifier workout, somebody, I might be a little bit more, not as aggressive to start. So like maybe we put them on a 1 rep every 20-second pace, or 1 rep every 18 seconds, something like that. They would get if this were, you were planning on repeating on Monday. Sorry, I forgot to put that in. So a little bit less aggressive pace on a Friday to get them to feel the workout out, find out the fatigue factors. Like Logan said, he was a little bit surprised that his legs were blowing up. And then on Monday, we can kind of adjust. Okay, you were able to hold that pace, or it started to fall off here. Maybe we need to, lower it, or for the first 30 reps, or, first 10 reps, we go at this pace, and then the next 10 we go at this pace, and then the next 10 we pick it up again. So something along those lines is what I like to try and do pacing wise for athletes a little bit more, is just get them to kind of pull on a repeated cycle. And that keeps them away from, because you feel amazing for those first, 7-8 reps, and then all of a sudden you don't feel anything anymore. So getting them to pull on a consistent pattern where it's just, we can prolong that amazing feeling to, 15, 16 reps, or 12 to 16 reps, and then slowly start to let the fatigue creep in, but have them be confident enough that they can pull a bar. They've already hit 16 reps at a 12-second a rep pace. I can confidently pull that 12 rep or 1 rep every 12-second pace under this fatigue, so almost like a confidence build up for them. So just a little bit of a different pacing strategy than Logan was talking about for this workout. So well, cool. Do you have anything else, Logan, or?
No, I think that's about it. I hope that, some of these tips and just analyzing this workout, help some of y'all out. I think as an athlete, the more that you're in the sport, and I mean, really with any sport, the more reflective that you can learn to be, the better you'll be able to be. That's why it's so important having a coach. Like, there was so many things when I first started, with Kyle that I never even thought about in a workout. So I think some of that, with, something like this is just like, bringing some of that, just bringing some of those thoughts to light of how you can improve, and, just bringing, awareness to, your actions. Like, am I bending down too much? Am I chasing the bar around too much? Did I use the wrong type of bumper plates? Were they bouncing around? Do I need dead bound plates? Just stuff like that brings awareness to how you can improve is going to be super, super imperative to, always improving within the sport. And even if it's not like improving leaps and bounds every month or every year, if, aggregation of marginal gains, 1% every day. So,
every day.
It starts with something, it can be something simple like this, like, watching this video or watching your own videos. Yeah, hope it helps some of y'all out in a small way.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, guys. We'll probably be doing a couple more of these, just like analyzing some of our athletes' workouts, maybe get them on and chat with them about the workout too. So if you guys like it, let us know in the comments, or shoot us a DM or something like that. Give us some suggestions, and we'll look forward to doing some more of these. Thanks, guys.